Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. Your host, your boy as always, Clint. We're rocking the baby blues. We got the money chain on. We got the money hat. We're just rocking it all out here today. You know why? It's a special day. It's a very special day. 90 units, baby. We're up 90 units in the year 2023. We're coming off yet another win. And hilariously, you guys know I've done nothing but eat crap all week. I've been getting it from everybody. I've been getting talked to by all the people. Everyone's giving me a tough time because I'm betting on Jamie Pickett. I'm betting on JP buys. Guess what? We still bagged 6 units at UFC Vegas 78. Doesn't matter. Who does that? Who does that? Who puts a 2-unit play on JP buys and a 1-unit play on Jamie Pickett, loses them both, and still bags 6 units? We hit a 24-1 parlay, baby. Thank you, AJ Dobson, by decision. And we were this close. You know, another 4 units in the bag if Montserrat Ruiz would just tap in the first round the way she's supposed to. Instead, we got a bit of a bad beat on that under 2.5. That fight could have been over like 3 different times. Beat the number by a mile. It was a good bet. That's right there, definition of a good bet that didn't cash. But it's hard to complain. It is hard to complain when you're still sticking 6 units in the pocket and the overall record for the year is up 90 units. And now there's the haters. Of course, there's the haters. You got people wondering, wanting to know what happened. You're the worst guy on Twitter last year. Couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat. Can't get anything right. How are you out here saying you, folks, you go back and you add up every single bet that I've ever made, put it out publicly, tracked. It's right there for all of you to view. Even with last year's down 70, we're up 60 units since podcast inception. 60 units right here on this show, doing it all for free and doing my best to make you laugh along the way. I hope y'all are having a good time. Hope y'all are having a good night, as good of a time as I am. We have another incredible card to get to. It is UFC 292 fight week, and I need you guys to smash the like button. I need you to go to Twitter and hit the retweet. I need you to let the algorithm and the world know what we're cooking here on the Die Hard MMA podcast. How is everybody doing this evening? You've got Rob Lawrence, Trevor Harrington. We've got Finn Durst, Edge Ball in the house, Dell, Christopher Patrick, Lou, my guy Lou, hanging out in the chat. And you've got my guy, the sports keg, Uncle Wheezy, stopping by, the electric doll in the house, 916, Dave Ward, Dog, my guy, Dream, David Hartman, the train, what's going on, Daniel Gray, Black Floyd, Mushroom, as always, Colby in the house, Ted Ashbrook, what is going on, Pepe, welcome back to the show, my friend, Dirty Reg is in here. I hope everybody is doing incredible this evening. All the usuals are rolling in here and a whole bunch of new faces. It is nice to see all of you here joining the Die Hard MMA family. We've got a great show for you guys tonight. We've got an absolutely excellent show for you this evening. Real quick, before we get started, though, I do want to let you guys know, last week on Twitter, as you know, the show is brought to you by Bet Openly. They are my sponsor for the show, and they're beating the bookies out there. 1% juice. Everybody gets better odds on everything they bet, literally, because they let us go up against each other, someone else who wants your action rather than paying the bookie for servicing us. So it's definitely something you guys want to sign up for. We will have a link in the description below, and I'll grab one for you guys right now so that you can go click that link and check it out here for me. But what I wanted to mention was that we actually did a big old giveaway last week. I put it out there on Twitter for people to retweet and jump in. As long as you enter this contest, we picked, I think we got 16 people. A couple people didn't end up replying, but we got 16 people in a free $10 entry pick'em contest for last week's fight card. All you got to do is pick your fighter, and it's almost like setting up a parlay. Give you a $10 free entry, and it's winner take all format. 2 people tied. So we had a couple people got $80 for free thanks to Bet Openly last week. We're going to run that shit again. We're going to do it bigger and better for UFC 292. So keep an eye out on social media if you have not signed up yet for Bet Openly. I'm not sure what you're waiting for at this point. You really should sign up and check it out. It's a wonderful platform, but we will be giving away opportunities for free cash in a pick'em style contest on Bet Openly again this week. Needed to let you guys know that. Without further ado, I'm going to get our guest in here. It's pay-per-view fight week, and more importantly than pay-per-view fight week, it's Amanda Lemos fight week. And if Amanda Lemos is on the card, I needed to call the number one, the world's foremost expert on Amanda Lemos. We have none other than my guy, James, Lucrative MMA, breaking down the show with us today. Lucrative, my guy, how you doing?
My guy, bro. Love your energy, man. Happy to be on. Happy to be speaking about Amanda Lemos, the GOAT. She's about to do it. But I will say, let's just wait for the breakdown, because I could go in depth on how she's going to win the fight. I'm not going to give too much away until we get to that. I don't want to spoil it for the viewers. But yeah, man, happy to be on, bro. You've been having a heater of a year. I just want to say shout out to you because I know last year wasn't your year. You was a little bit down in the dumps at times, but you kept at it. You kept your strategy. You changed your strategy. And now you're having the best year of your life, if I'm not mistaken. This has been your most profitable year. So that just teaches everybody out there who gambles on sports, keep gambling. They're gonna trim me out and say, like, this guy's a degenerate. But if you can stick to the rules of gambling, if you can actually surround yourself with professional gamblers, people that do it full time, and actually learn knowledge from them on how to find value spots, how to understand implied probability, you can make this game pay. You can earn money from this game. It's not impossible. I don't want to encourage too many people out there to gamble because I honestly think gambling can be a little bit negative for a lot of the population. But if you have the right mind for it, which I think can be cultivated, then you can always make money, man. So well done for you. And I'm happy to be on. Let's crush it today.
My guy, thank you so much for that beautiful intro. I'm the host. I'm supposed to be introing you instead of the other way around. So thank you very much. It is, in fact, the best year gambling I've ever had. It's been freaking incredible. And I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I think the big thing is people do the same thing over and over and over again gambling. And that is what will get you going down with the ship. You got to learn from those mistakes, adjust, and that's what I did. And here we are. So let's keep this bad boy rolling. But real quick, though, we got to give you your flowers because I'm pretty sure you're having a decent year this year yourself. Are you not?
Yeah, it's been great, man. It's been great. I'm having my best year yet, just like you. So I'm on track to have the best year I've ever had. Unfortunately, I'm coming in off the worst event of my entire gambling career, which was UFC Vegas 78. So it's kind of annoying because me and you was going back and forth before in the DMs, like we might do the live stream and both of us be plus 100 units for the year. Unfortunately, we don't know when our good events and when our bad events are going to happen. We just know that they will happen. And unfortunately, my worst event ever came last week. So I'm coming into it on a bad losing event. But yeah, man, I can't complain too much. The whole year's been amazing. This is my best year yet. So I'm going to try and continue it and hopefully break the 100-unit barrier within the next 30 days or so. And then anything after that is a bonus. I aim for 100 units every single year. I've done it 2 years out of the last 4, and I'm aiming to do it for a 3rd year this year. So hopefully we can.
Impressive as hell, man. I'm trying to get there for the first time ever this year for me, but you guys have no idea. Me and James were so hyped hyped up. We were going back in the DMs like, we're both on JP Buys sub round 1 at 16-1. Could you imagine if we hit JP Buys and we both crack 100? Like, it's going to be... No, the gambling gods wouldn't let us have it, but it's okay. We're still crushing. We'll get you guys headed the right direction. One more time for me real quick, folks. Show is brought to you by Pub Sports Radio. This is my home, Pub Sports Radio. Hit the like button so we can keep bringing you this free content, and check out Bet Openly. Your first fight of the night, I believe, here's the tricky part here, my guy. Here's the tricky part. This is the Ultimate Fighter finale show, UFC 292, which is weird. That's usually like a little fight night type of card. It's never a big old pay-per-view when they do the Ultimate Fighter finales. And they're all out of order right now because we've only got one matchup announced. There's one more episode to go of the Ultimate Fighter, so they are keeping it on lockdown who that final matchup is going to be. There's 12 fights on this card. We've only got 10 to talk about tonight because we had Cody Garbrandt realizing what was good for his health and pulling out of the fight. And then we don't know who the second Ultimate Fighter tournament championship is going to have in it. So we can't talk about that fight. Just to let you all know where we're at. I'm not sure where this fight is actually going to land on the card, but we'll start with it. And you guys can click around. We'll, of course, do timestamps after the show tonight and get those in the right order for you so you can just click your way through. But Kurt Holobaugh takes on Austin Hubbard here. We've got 19-7. Kurt taking on 15-6. Austin Hubbard, my guy, Thud, is a decent-sized favorite. And I'll be honest with you, James, I've been a Thud guy. I've been a Hubbard guy. I feel like he's a fighter that is just so close to turning that corner. You know, training at a good camp at Elevation Fight Team, they just rave about those leg kicks. He's got solid counter wrestling. He's got good cardio, good pace. He's a little bit of a slow starter, but he turns it up the deeper the fight goes. That's that elevation training, right? He kind of outpaces people when they can't quite keep up with him. And he just needed a little bit of seasoning. Now I feel like he's got that seasoning. He's a guy I'm okay with the UFC kind of bringing back. Kurt Holobaugh, a guy that, I'll be honest with you, James, I forgot existed. This guy came into the UFC, did not have a good run, and now he's on the Ultimate Fighter. He's had a couple of fights that have made him look like a stud, the fight of his life. You know, his last fight, he fought Jason Knight, and I think Jason Knight sucks. I'm sorry. Like, I respect every single fighter that steps in the cage. You guys know that. But I don't think that Jason Knight is any good. And the fact that Kurt Holobaugh felt absolutely zero fear fighting that man, he put on the best performance of his life at 36 years old. That's going to happen when you're just that much better than somebody who just isn't very good and doesn't have any defense to speak of, blocks punches with their face. I don't think he's going to be able to replicate that against my guy, Austin Hubbard. I don't know that I trust Hubbard at -190, and I could absolutely see Kurt starting off fast and we get maybe a better live line. So if I can get something like the +100 range on Austin Hubbard after that first round, because he's probably going to drop it, I would look towards him coming back in that fight the later 2 rounds, or you could just play like the Hubbard by decision prop. That's the way that I would be looking. But at this point, I don't have a bet on this one. James, what do you think of this first fight?
Yeah, first of all, I need to address your drip. You're looking fresh right now. And my man Tommy Unders is saying, sheesh, Clint is looking fresh. What does this signify? Does this signify you breaking 100 units or what does it signify?
You know, it's my mother-in-law just being on point, James, is what it is. I got a nice little care package from her about a week ago. And I'm like, it's not, what is this? Like, we're doing family dinner. And she brings me like a birthday looking present. It's all wrapped up. And I'm like, what is this? And I've got matching shorts to go with it, my guy. Just wait until I go on vacation. You guys are going to get pool pics of me wearing this bad boy with matching money shorts. Like it's the full package. And I'm like, coming off of, you know, breaking 90 units. And I've got just an inkling, James. I'm calling my shot, man. Babe Ruth style. We're going to break 100 at UFC 292. I'm doing it. I'm feeling myself. I'm too locked in. I'm too sharp right now. I'm seeing the board way too clearly. I already love my bets right now. We're breaking 100 this week. So yes, I had to show out a little bit with the outfit.
I believe it, bro. I believe it. Touch wood that you do. I'm just imagining myself sitting around a pool, a resort in some island and seeing you walk past with the money shorts. That would be an interesting sight if I was at a resort and I saw Clint walking around in the money outfit, man. But yeah, hopefully we can make it. I don't know if you're going to make it on this fight because in my opinion, this is a pass fight. This is a typical fight where you stay away. There are probably some ways you can play it if you look into the props. You know, like I do think this fight hits the scorecard because both fighters are very tough. And so, you know, shout out to tough. Both fighters are very tough. So maybe you can play the over or goes the distance there. The prices are not too bad. But it's not really a fight I want to get involved in, man. I mean, Kurt Holobaugh's 36 years old, so he's going to be on a downtrend. I don't think he's going to be looking any better. He's the finished product. But one thing he's very tough and very gritty. You know, even in those old school UFC fights when he fought Thiago Moises and Raoni Barcelos, he still had his moments in those fights against two very, very good fighters. You know, I know he got finished by Barcelos with that brutal uppercut and Moises just grinded him out. But he still had his moments. And he's still doing his thing on the regional scene. He's not a bad fighter. It's just he doesn't really have anything that separates himself too much. He's kind of just a gritty fighter that comes forward, throws a lot of shots, and has really good cardio. So he doesn't have any particular skill set that really sets himself apart from another man. You know, he doesn't have great striking where he can piece someone up on the feet, or really good jiu-jitsu where he can submit a lot of guys, or really good wrestling where he can take down a lot of guys. He's just kind of decent everywhere, and he survives and he exists and he wins, you know, a lot of fights because of that. And Hubbard is quite similar on the other hand, honestly. You know, he is more of a striker. I would say his skill set is more of a striker. But at the end of the day, he's not great at anything. You know, he's not knocking guys out. He's not submitting guys. He's kind of just outpacing. He's got very good pace, I will say that, and good cardio. He's kind of just outpacing guys. And so I think both fighters are fairly similar. Honestly, in this fight, Clint, at the lines, I think it's Holobaugh. I think you play Holobaugh at the line, man. I mean, I don't understand laying minus 180s, minus 190s. I mean, almost minus 200s. You know, you almost got the 2 in the name or the 2 in the number. I couldn't imagine laying a 2 in the number. And what I mean by that is minus 2, whatever, right? On Austin Hubbard. Because as I said, like Holobaugh, he doesn't separate himself. So I could definitely see this fight being a gritty fight that goes to a close decision. Hubbard wins 29-28, but at no point did he look like finishing or anything. So you're not really getting too much value, but maybe he wins. I'm going to predict Hubbard to win because I do think he's the slightly cleaner striker. I don't think he's going to wilt under the pace and pressure like Holobaugh often needs you to do. So I am going to pick Hubbard, but I definitely would be betting Holobaugh if I had a gun to my head and had to bet the fight.
Okay. Fair enough, man. And I think that's about right. You know, I don't see the point in betting this one pre-flop because I don't feel confidently enough. But I'm kind of there with you on not laying that number on Austin Hubbard. He just fights too closely. And folks, I tried to warn you guys, and I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize in advance. I know a lot of you lost a lot of money on Hakeem Dawodu. I told you guys not to parlay him. I tried to warn everybody. He goes to split decisions in every other fight, and he refuses to pull away from his opponent. You can't lay chalk on those guys. Should he have won? Yes. Did it look like he won? Yes. Did the judges fuck you? Yes. But you can't lay that number on a guy like that. And that's exactly the same thing here with Thud Hubbard. He'll look like he should be the guy that gets his hand raised. Judges don't know what they're doing. You could lose that based on the number. Don't play Austin Hubbard. I like Hubbard by decision. Pepe saying round 3. I don't mind that. I don't mind that because he does put the pace on people late. I think a live entry makes some sense. But, you know, again, just pour one out and apologies for the people that lost money on Hakeem Dawodu last week.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say about this fight, the Hakeem fight, because I bet Hakeem there at minus 200. I wouldn't bet him at minus 300, but at 200, I thought it was fine. Post-fight, probably accurate, probably no value or no less value. But Cub was so shot in my eyes that Hakeem was massively live for a KO. And I do think he was, even post-fight, because after the first round, his legs, he was switching stance consistently. And then Hakeem just stopped kicking the legs. And he would only do the inside leg kick. He wouldn't do the outside leg kick. And he would finish his combos with the inside leg kick. Without getting too technical, you can't get that much power on an inside leg kick finishing the combo. Whereas if you would have started it off like that, yes, it's easier to defend, but he would have got a lot more power. And I also thought he got hurt to the body there. So I thought Hakeem could finish. Whereas in this fight, I don't really... Obviously, yeah, Hubbard could get a late finish, but I don't really think he has much finishing upside other than like a cardio. So that's really tricky when you're laying the juice if a fighter doesn't really have much finishing upside.
Totally makes sense, man. Totally makes sense. I get that for sure. All right, everybody. Moving on to the next fight that we've got listed here. Next up is Moroz taking on Karine Silva. And Karine Silva, James, has just been the absolute bane of my existence. I don't believe in this girl, and I've made that absolutely clear on this show time and time and time again. I think she's a sub or bust type of fighter. She's got that raw athleticism. You know, a couple times we've seen her kind of knock opponents down to the ground, and that's led to the sub. She really does have such a slick submission game that it's Francis Ngannou-esque, man. She just needs one. Like, if you touch the ground, this girl can possibly tap you out. So you've got to be extremely careful with somebody who's capable of something like that. They've got that kind of offense, all gas, no brakes. But I think her overall MMA game is just kind of lacking. And unless she's got these people who she can physically overpower and maul, she's going to have a real hard time. I think the higher up the rankings she goes, the tougher it's going to be for her. She does have 2.24 takedowns per 15 minutes on average. And this whole thing to me comes down to whether or not Moroz can stay safe. Now, I know a lot of you out there believe and subscribe to the OnlyFans fade. Moroz might be the exception to the rule. This girl's like a really slick boxer before she started MMA. She's training at ATT. Physically, I mean, it makes sense she's got an OnlyFans. She is pristine. Her condition is incredible. She's very strong. She's an underrated grappler. She's 2 inches taller than her opponent here, and she's never been finished, James. Like, that's the big thing for me, is that she's never been finished, and she's a good wrestler. Like, people really underestimate what this girl is capable of on the ground. I mean, her UFC debut, she armbarred JoJo Wood. Nobody really saw that coming, but she busted her face up before she hit that submission. And my girl, Mayra Bueno Silva, the future champion of this weight class, couldn't do a thing to her on the ground. She postures up really well. She keeps her arms in nice and tight, which any of you who are grapplers and have ever tried to fend off an armbar, keep those elbows in. Nobody's getting an elbow. They can't snap your arm when you do that. She knows exactly what she's doing, positionally speaking, on the ground. She's the better striker. She's tough. She's durable. And I think she's good enough defensively that she won't get tapped. I haven't bet Moroz here in this spot, James, because I keep expecting the Silva money's going to come in. You know, just everybody seeing the highlights, everybody following the OnlyFans fade. Like, I think this number is going to get better, but I kind of lean dog or pass here. I think Mayra Moroz can work her way to a decision victory here, or maybe even a late finish if Silva isn't capable of going 15. If she gasses out and gets tired, she could get beat on. So I think I like the dog here.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me because I was cutting out a little bit, but that's a good breakdown, man. And I kind of agree with you, to be honest. You know, a lot of people saying, someone said in the chat, don't fade the OnlyFans fade, which is quite funny. But I have a little theory to the OnlyFans fade, right? Clint, you remember, I don't know if you still subscribe to this, but I remember last year you had the Dana White's Contender Series fade, right? But it didn't apply to everybody coming out of the Dana White's Contender Series. I believe there was a few criteria you had, and one of them was it had to be Dana White's Contender Series guy going up against somebody who was a veteran in the UFC or was a UFC level guy. Is that correct?
So it was their first UFC fight. Yeah. And they had to be favored over a fighter who had UFC experience. Yeah. That was the trick, because if they came in as the dog, that wasn't the angle. If they came in against a fellow debutante, that wasn't the angle. It had to be someone who had the high caliber experience already, which is where we saw them kind of get that vet lesson their first time in the big cage.
So I have a theory which is quite similar to that, and I have some criteria for the OnlyFans fade. I believe in the OnlyFans fade, but I only believe in the OnlyFans fade if the person creating the OnlyFans is doing 18 plus content on there. Ooh. A lot of these fighters these days have got OnlyFans, but they're showing training footage. They're showing behind the scenes footage. It's nothing spicy. So I don't know what Moroz is doing. I'm not an OnlyFans type of guy. You won't catch me subscribing to any of that, right? But I know some of the boys in the chat are that way inclined. So I would like somebody with authority that can speak on it. Let me know. Is Moroz playing the OnlyFans game as an athlete, or is she playing it a little bit extracurricular? Because
We
then the
need
fade might come into play.
We need a connoisseur. We need a gentleman of culture from the chat to let us know. Now, I will tell you, James, based on what Moroz posts on Instagram, I got a bad feeling she's posting the 18 plus just based off her Instagram, I would assume.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm effed because I've got a bet on Maryna Moroz here. So, by the way, for anybody who can't see through the lines, I'm having a laugh. I bet to make money, not bet for entertainment. So I don't look into things like that. But the way I see this fight breaking down is that Moroz beat her before. We know that. Okay, Moroz was 23. Karine Silva was 21. Karine threw a Superman punch. I think it was Karine or Moroz. I taped this fight a while back, but someone threw a Superman punch. They ended up on the ground, and they was on the ground. Karine was on top of her for like 2 minutes and then eventually just get armbarred. So I don't take much from it, but at the end of the day, it still happened. She still subbed her. They was about the same age, so it's not like it was this massive veteran going against this young girl. But obviously, Karine has got a lot better over the years, right? She's not 21 years old anymore. She's not a young girl. She might not be getting submitted so early. But I agree with a lot of your points, and one of those is that Moroz is a very tough girl. She was getting cracked on the face a lot of times against Jennifer Maia, and she looked fine. You know, she didn't really look hurt in that fight. She got cracked, and she continued on pushing. She's also fought these finishers many times before. She's fought Mayra Buena Silva, and she didn't get finished by her. And she's a very, very tough finisher. We've seen her just finish Holly Holm, and we've seen her, you know, maybe she's going to be the next person to fight for the title. She beat Maria Agapova, which she was an underdog in that fight, and I bet on her there. I think she's a really good spot. Yeah, that was a great spot, man. I love that, especially how she finished there. You know, it was crazy.
Oh yeah, I was with you there on that one. I saw the grappling advantage coming a mile away, and I'm an Agapova simp, man. That's my girl. I can't wait till she comes back healthy, but I had to bet against her in that spot.
yeah, that was a great spot, man. And I feel like we might get in a similar spot here as to where, you know, the girl who finishes a lot, which kind of Agapova kind of finished a lot. We're getting somebody who finishes a lot in Karine Silva. If she doesn't get the finish, I don't think she's the better mixed martial artist. And sometimes they do get the finish, right? Because there's a funny balance in MMA betting as to where you don't want to overrate the early finish, because then you're going to miss out on a lot of spots that go to decision and you could have got a plus 300. But you don't want to underrate the early finish, because a lot of times your fight is just going to get blown out of the water. Me and you probably, I mean, maybe not because we bet a plus 300, but in some regard, maybe we underrated the early finish of Marcus McGee there, right? And then he got knocked out instantly. Maybe I underrated the early finish of Damon Blackshear when I had a bad bet on Jose Johnson, another big underrated betting. You don't want to overrate or underrate these finishes, right? I don't think I'm overrating it here. For me, I just prefer to stick to the veteran, somebody who's been there with the much better girls. She's a mainstay in the UFC. In my opinion, she's the much better striker. And I haven't really seen massive holes on the ground to think that she's going to get submitted here. I know that Silva can pull out a knee bar from anywhere. She's got some unorthodox submissions. But as you start stepping up the ranks, these unorthodox submissions don't keep hitting. They don't keep hitting. And I'm not saying Moroz is a world beater, and maybe she isn't high enough up the ranks as to where the submissions will work. But for me, I'm happy to play the underdog in this spot.
Okay. I like it, James. I'm leaning that way myself. My guy Pepe in the chat warning me that the money is not going to get any better on Moroz. And I will be completely honest with you guys. Reading the market is something that I'm still working on. I'm not very good at it. And a lot of times I'll pull the trigger way too early on something because I assume people are seeing what I'm seeing. I'm trying to kind of time this one and get a better number. If my guy Pepe is saying that ain't happening, I probably should jump in. I like the dog as well. And me and James are going to ride together on that, folks. We got 280 live viewers on the pod. By the way, if that's not the record, we are this close to the record. I think if we hit 300, that's absolutely a record setting number of views here live for the show. So thank you all so much for joining us. Get out there, hit that retweet, hit that like button, and make sure you follow my guy Lucrative, one of the sharpest guys in the game, giving you all of his reads and info here for free on the pod. We definitely appreciate it. The next fight up, you've got Andrea KGB Lee taking on Natália Silva. And man, this is a big, big number, James. I'll be honest with you. Natália Silva, she's one of my favorites. I know a lot of people love some Natália Silva. The hype has caught up. She was this flying under the radar girl, and I got to bring it up every single time. They gave us plus 200 on my girl Silva against Jazz Judavicius. Holy crap. It was such a wonderful spot. I had a 2-unit play on her at plus 200 because it just made no sense to me. And then she was a minus 1,000 in her last fight. This girl is so good. People underrated her out the gates, and now they're awake, and now they know. The problem is, James, they might know a little too much because she's a massive favorite over Andrea Lee. I don't have a bad thing to say about Natália Silva. She's younger. She's got a ton of experience, 15-5-1. She is strong. She's got good hips. She's got great balance. She's tough to take down. She's fast. Her counter strikes are incredibly crisp and accurate. She's got that snapping head kick on her. She's got great wrestling defense and a good get-up game, and we haven't seen a whole lot of that because she's got a 92% takedown defense in the UFC. There's not a single thing I can do to poke a hole in her game. But this is a big step up in competition. Andrea Lee has been fighting the best of the best in this weight class for a long time. She's coming off a split decision to Macy Barber that a lot of people felt like she should have gotten the nod for. She's tough. She's durable. She keeps a nice high pace and volume. She can wrestle when she needs to. She is hard to hold down when you take her down. This is going to be a 15-minute kickboxing match, James. I don't think either of these girls is going to have extended success grappling. And believe it or not, I think it's going to be high-paced, and I think it's going to be close. I like Natália Silva here. I'm going to pick her to win, but I can't get behind this number because at this number, you're looking for a finish. At this number, you're looking for her to win emphatically. And don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting my girl. She might. But you don't just simply finish Andrea KGB Lee. This girl has never been, she's been finished once. She got submitted, I believe, earlier on in her career and hasn't been finished since. You can hit her with a brick and she's not going anywhere. She's tough as nails. I think this is going 15. I think we're going to see another decision. I think KGB will be competitive. I think it probably is unanimous for Silva. I expect her to be the better fighter in there, but I would rather play Silva by decision and bank in on all the value, people expecting her to just run through Lee the way she's run through her previous opponents. I'll bank on the toughness of Lee. I need to see some props. I want to know what the number is, but I like Silva by decision here.
Yeah. Silva's a great fighter, man, but the cat's out of the bag now. The market knows. Everybody knows. She's got a lot of hype behind her. I was on the plus 200 on her against Jasmine Jazadavicius in her first fight, which was a crazy line in hindsight. And I've actually bet her every single fight since. But this one, I'm not betting her, man. I can't lay minus 350. And I haven't actually looked deep into props on this one, but I doubt I'll get behind a prop, man. It's very hard to look good against Andrea Lee unless you've got massive grappling upside. Because Andrea Lee, she doesn't do great on the ground. She can be taken down. She can kind of be dominated there. We've seen time and time again. I remember her losing split decisions at like a minus 300 against people like Modafferi and Lauren Murphy a lot of times because of the grappling upside. Definitely in the Modafferi fights. I think she lost twice to her. So I do think Silva can cover her line if she goes to takedowns and she gets top time, which I do think she can. She's very athletic and she will shoot. We know her as a striker, but I've watched a lot of her fights on the regional scene too. And she does shoot takedowns every now and then. So I definitely could see her covering her line if she gets top time. But I don't think she's going to be able to shoot too much. I don't think she's going to be shooting consistently. And Lee will defend takedowns. So yeah, I think it's going to be closer than the line suggests. It's a women's kickboxing fight for the most part. It's very hard to cover minus 350 in those spots. And one thing I will say is that Lee has a very, very fast lead head kick. You know, we saw her catch Arahuja with it. And Silva, the way she judges range and distance, it's very good and she looks good doing it. But when she comes up against somebody who can match her in speed and timing, she's open to be getting hit. You know what I mean? She's open to be getting hit clean and not catching it on her guard. So I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but it is a little bit of a worry, especially when you got like minus whatever it is. I don't know, minus 350. So yeah, I'm going to pick Natália Silva. I think it's hard to pick Andrea Lee outright in this spot, but I will pick Natália Silva. And someone is spamming in the chat that I mean, you've said it 4 times now. I have lost 10K last week. No, I lost 30K last week. So get it right. It's a lot more than 10K. But I've won well over $1 million from betting on MMA, which I'm pretty sure is much more than you have earned. So instead of typing comments on YouTube, you should probably figure out how to get your money up, because you have to spend your time a lot better than typing comments on YouTube. And if you're going to do it, at least get it right, brother. It wasn't 10K. It was like 31K or something. So at least get it right, my guy.
Keeping the story straight. I love it, James. I love it. Bro, I have to say thank you. You're here for just an absolutely momentous occasion, James. We broke the record, baby. We got 307 live viewers right now on the podcast. We've never hit 300 live before. We get a shit ton of views, but not all at one point. So thank you all for being here. And a massive shout out to our guy, Christopher Patrick, saying, let's go with the $50 donation. Thank you very much, Patrick. We appreciate you for the dono, my friend. Let's keep on crushing. Once again, glad to hear me and my guy James are on the same side, because that seems to work out pretty well when it's two guys that are running hot, 2 guys that are thinking the same, and we end up looking at the same side on a fight. Woo! Doesn't get much better than that. The next fight up is going to be Gerald Meerschaert. They call the man GM3, taking on Andre Petroski. And I've had a tumultuous relationship with Gerald Meerschaert, James. It's been up and down, left and right. Like, I have tried to fade this guy, zig when I should zag. I spotted the weakness to the right hand. That's something I've been preaching for a long, long time. Every time Gerald gets hurt, it's the right cross. Like, he just doesn't see it. It's always there, and he gets cracked with it every single damn fight. So I have done really well, at least for a while there I did, because, I faded him appropriately with Hamzat by knockout when a lot of people were thinking sub. That's a little bit of a coin flip, because, well, let's be honest, right? Hamzat probably could have subbed him if he wanted to. But then he got me on Mahmoud Muradov. Muradov was supposed to knock this guy out, but he didn't get it done for me. We knew Joe Pyfer was going to get it done. We knew Jotko was going to get it done. But every once in a while, he just pulls a win right out of his ass. If he can hang in there, James, if he can survive that first round, if you're not just that much slicker than him striking, he won't go anywhere. He's got solid cardio. He's got decent boxing, which has improved, I actually think, the last couple of years, even considering he's an older fighter. He's getting better out there. And then he's just got this slick world-class BJJ that you are not safe from unless you sit on his chest the way Jotko did. Like, unless you take him down, posture up, and stay completely away from him, this guy can find a sub on you, and he ruins a lot of nights. I mean, it's gotten to the point where Gerald Meerschaert sub and Gerald Meerschaert round 3, they're kind of auto bets. Like, you almost got to cover yourself, even if you're fading him with those sprinkles headed the other direction. Now, Andre Petroski, he's the guy that I have to admit I've been a little harsh on. He's 32 years old. He's built like a brick shit house, trains out of Henzo Gracie, Philly. And I've talked about his cardio time and time again. The cardio is bad. And I think I just had him miscategorized, James. He doesn't have bad cardio. He's a Yoel Romero type. The guy explodes and reloads. He's got to find those spots within the fight to get his gas tank back. He's got a strong body lock on him, and he'll hang on you. He's got a great blast double leg, and once he puts all that energy into slamming you to the ground, he'll just sit on you for a second. And that's how he finds his way to extending these fights, and it covers that cardio gap and allows him to use that explosive ability to get the win. I tried to fade him with Wellington Turman, and looking back at that fight, James, I was like, whoo, you could have scored that 1-2 Wellington. You really could have given that fight to Turman. And I had to make sure I wasn't just having, bet goggles on when I watched it the first time. Looking at it for a second time, it was close. It was competitive. That striking advantage was no joke there. And I think Gerald Meerschaert's going to enjoy some of the same striking advantage in this spot. And the weakness Gerald has for these guys being longer, cleaner, faster strikers than him, that's not going to be there. Andre loads up. He's a wrestle boxer with that big overhand. Gerald should see that thing coming a mile away. And if he can't land with that big right hand, I don't know that GM3 is going to knock Gerald out the way a couple of his previous opponents has. So that leaves the wrestling. This guy's a good, solid grappler, man. But you go back to the tough days, he makes mistakes. Deep in a fight, if he gets tired, he will slip up. Aaron Jeffrey and Brian Battle both caught him with subs. It's a thing that can happen to him. And man, I apologize. Aaron Jeffrey was a punch, not a sub. But at any rate, you get my point. I think the Gerald Meerschaert late finish props are going to be here. I think this is exactly the kind of fighter that he can press and push, make him work, make him wrestle. And we've got a big, big number here, man. He was plus 220 when I snagged him. A little bit of money has come in. He's a little lower than that now, looking around plus 200 most places. I'm riding with the dog one more time, man. Gerald Meerschaert, and I may just be sprinkling those late round finish props by sub because that seems to be his favorite method here.
I don't mind it, Clint. Honestly, I was teetering with it myself. I was hoping that I could get even a better line. It's obviously dropped down a little bit now. It's tough betting Gerald because sometimes he just dies in the first and then sometimes he doesn't and he looks great. So it's really tough to bet on him. It's like, when is he going to die? When is he not? I actually bet on him against Joe Pyfer and that was a really bad bet. He just got knocked out there. Kind of embarrassing. I thought he would put up a bit of a better effort, but that's what the volatility is when you're playing Gerald. You don't know how he's going to look. On the Andre Petroski side, it's funny because he does look like a gasser and he does gas out, but he comes back always. He always comes back. He always gets that second wind. A lot of fighters, when they gas out, they don't really offer much after that. Petroski gasses out, but he always finds that second wind. Unless you can finish him within that gassing out period, which is usually round 2. Like Aaron Jeffrey did, and like Brian Battle did, right? They both finished him during that middle round gas out period. If they didn't finish him, he probably would have won the third round, which is really weird. He always gets his second win. Everyone thought he was a gasser, and now he's basically got 3 finishes in round 3 in the UFC. He's got those finish over Yazong Hu. He had that finish before, I think it was Michael Gilmore, round 3. And then he basically finished Turman in round 3. I think he got him in some type of submission. I can't remember exactly what the submission was, but he basically finished him. I thought Turman was unconscious. I think Turman went unconscious for a second, and then he let go of the choke, and he woke back up. So, you could basically say that he's almost got 3 third-round finishes in the UFC, which is crazy when you watch his fights because he's huffing and puffing in round 2. So, I do feel like Gerald Meerschaert could come. I know people will be playing Gerald Meerschaert round 3, but I honestly think round 2 is the one. Because if you just go back and see any of Andre Petroski's fights, round 3 he looks good. Round 2 is where he's gassed out and he's really bad, and he needs that to survive that and get that second win. Yeah, not saying that Gerald can't finish him round 3, but just historically, it seems like Petroski's round 2 is the worst one. So yeah, look, I will pick Petroski. I think that obviously he's going to have the much better wrestling, the much better grappling upside. I don't really think Gerald's going to have too much grappling upside himself, unless it comes from a knockdown or a cardio dump or a reversal when Petroski shoots in, poor takedown, maybe reverses him with a guillotine or something like that. I think the value's on Gerald. I have to say that. I do think there is some value on him. And good luck with your bet. And I might join you too, but I think rather than playing the money line, I would probably play some inside the distance prop on Gerald, maybe a round 2, round 3 prop, or just maybe a sub prop, because I don't really see Gerald winning this fight on the scorecards. He rarely ever does anyway. Most of his wins are inside the distance. I think it's some insane record. Almost 95% of his wins are ITD or something like that. And so I don't really see him winning this fight on the scorecards. Obviously, it can happen. It's MMA. Anything can happen. But I feel like Andre's going to be the one shooting takedowns. He's going to be the one getting top time. He's going to be the one winning the fight over the 15 minutes. It's just when he gasses out in round 2, Gerald could definitely finish him. And even in round 3, he might shoot a sloppy takedown and he can finish him. So if I am on Gerald, it's more than likely going to be an ITD prop, depending on the line, of course. But yeah, man, I'm rooting for you either way.
Okay. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I get it. I love the note on the round 2. I think that is a solid piece of analysis because you're right. Historically, that's kind of been the thing. So definitely something to take note of and keep an eye on. I like that. And I plan on sprinkling 2 and 3, not just 3 by itself on this one for that reason also. But I think you're right. 2 might actually be a higher likelihood of hitting than 3. And that's rare for me. Usually I think if it's coming late, I'm just kind of going balls deep on 3. So I like that. That's a really good note. Real quick, folks, before we move on to the next one, there was a suggestion. A member of the diehard horde here in the chat was saying, man, we broke the record for 300 views. Got to give away some t-shirts for that, right? Do you guys want some free shit? Do you guys want some merch on all right. So we got 300 live viewers. When we do our commercial break here in just a minute, we got one more fight preview for you, then we'll break it down. I'm going to give away 5 diehard MMA t-shirts. You'll have to find me on Twitter or Instagram, and I'll get your info. We'll get you some free t-shirts. If you guys want 5 more, we can do it at the end of the show, but you got to get me. We got 325 viewers, 200 likes. Get me 200 likes on the podcast, and I'll give away 5 more shirts at the end of the show. That's 2/3 of you. Just 2/3 of you guys click the like button. I'll give away more merch at the end of the show. So we'll do a giveaway today. We'll do it. Why not? All right. I'm feeling generous.
You know what, Clint? Not to cut you off. I'm feeling a bit generous too. And I have my own merch, not lucrative MMA merch, but MMA betting merch. I brought out a t-shirt store. And actually, this comes directly from the store. Start the day with MMA. I don't know if you can see that. And we have a lot of other merch like that. So if we get to 225 likes, so 25 more, I'm going to give out 1 free t-shirt from the store. I'll link the store in the chat, or you can throw it up or something. They can go on there. They can pick anything they want, and I'll pay for it and ship it out to them. Everything free, of course. Double merch giveaway.
Double merch giveaway. You get us to 200 likes. You're getting an extra 5 winners from me. We get us to 220. And Lucrative's going to give away some merch from his side of things as well. You guys picked the right show to tune into. Let's go. All right. Next fight up, Gregory Rodrigues takes on Denis Tiuliulin. And this is just, I hate this price tag, James. I hate it. Gregory Rodrigues, I tried to warn everybody. This guy is chinny. And I know everyone's like, bro, but he goes to war. He takes all those punches. He keeps coming forward. He's not chinny. And he gets knocked out by a jab against Bruno. And I'm not convinced that Bruno's even UFC caliber, James. A lot of people gave me heat for that statement. And then he goes out and gets finished in round 1 in his second UFC fight. He was on the back foot, getting pressured, getting beat handily by Gregory. And then he lands a jab that just got him right on the button. And he crumbled. Gregory is a guy that is fun to watch. He's an all-action fighter. He's a world-class BJJ guy that learned how to strike and has big old power. And quite frankly, I think the grappling makes him tired. So he decided to strike instead. And he hits freaking hard. But like, you go back to the Jung Young Park fight, right before he knocked out Jung Young Park, this man was almost in a coffin. He was stumbling around the cage from Jung Young Park. If you touch him, he will get hurt. So I can just never trust Bruno at this price tag. Be careful parlaying this man. Be careful loading up with this kind of a price tag. He's got all the skills you'd ever want in the world, but the durability can let you down sometimes. So for me, if I'm playing Gregory Rodrigues, it's inside the distance. We're looking for a prop. We're looking knockout. We're looking sub. Maybe we'll play a total, but I'm probably not going to be ever going money line hard on Gregory Rodrigues in any circumstance. Except maybe this one. Denis sucks, James. Denis Tiuliulin is absolutely terrible. He is 1-2 in the UFC with his only win coming up over Jamie Pickett, and that's after he kicked my poor guy Jamie in the nuts twice, and I mean badly. Jamie was compromised from this guy kicking him right in the junk. That's the only win that he's got. James, he doesn't know how to wrestle. That's the biggest thing for me here. He has no idea what he's doing on the ground. The Russians are going to come for this man, and they're going to take his membership card because he does not belong coming from that country. He gets on bottom and he just does all the wrong things. He doesn't have any awareness defensive grappling wise. If Gregory wants to take this guy down, he will style on this man on the ground. And if he needs target practice, this guy will stand in front of him and trade. Now, obviously, that's where you get that danger of that durability raising its ugly head because Denis can crack, but I don't think he's as good of a striker as Gregory Rodrigues is. Gregory should win this. As long as he doesn't get banked, James, Gregory really should win this. I think unders are good. And I think Rodrigues inside the distance is probably pretty good. I kind of lean more towards the sub, considering Tiuliulin's been subbed 4 times. It's almost like the UFC is giving Gregory a get-right fight. They're like, bro, just run the tape on this guy. Look, 4 sub losses. He can't handle himself on the ground. You know what to do, Gregory. If he follows the game plan, he chokes this guy out.
Yeah, if he follows the game plan. Those are the magic words, because I've donated to Gregory Rodrigues via submission a couple of times. Like I think most of the MMA betting community has. We always play him by sub. Sometimes he's close. Sometimes he takes the back and then he falls off like that fight against that Russian, the other coach. What's his name? I can't remember the dude's name. I don't know. The guy with the curly hair, the kickboxer, Petrosian. Yeah. You know, he got Petrosian's back, and that was supposed to be the one where he subbed him because Petrosian's a kickboxer, and then he just falls off the back. I do think Denis is actually even worse than Petrosian on the mat. So, you know, he may be live for the sub here, but I can't really trust Rodrigues to sub anyone at this stage. But, I mean, if he wants it, he can get it. If he says in his mind before, if Jack Obama, if he says to himself, as he sits down in the White House and says to all his staff, what's the game plan for this fight? If they say, go out there, get a takedown and submit him, he can do it. I just don't know whether he's going to do it, man. And the sub line is what, like plus 250 or something? I don't know, man. I'm not really, doesn't really intrigue me too much. If anything, I'd play a sub in a specific round, maybe if you can get a better line. For me, RoboCop does not have a good chin, man. I don't know why people were thinking he had a good chin. Sometimes it shows up better than others, which is just weird. You know, sometimes he goes to war. But even in the wars, like his chin's getting cracked. You know, I bet on him against Junyoung Park, and that wasn't looking very good for a second. You know, I thought the guy was going to get knocked out, and then he ended up just doing the same to his opponent. I also bet on Bruno Ferreira at like plus 300. Against Gregory Rodrigues, and he got a first round knockout. Also bet on Ferreira to get a knockout in round 1 and like plus 800. And so that was a very good cash for me. So I've never really been a fan of Gregory's chin, but his style and his game and his overall MMA skills, I'm very high on. He is one of the best, one of my favorite fighters. You know, I bet on him on his debut against Dusko Todorovic at like plus 140 as an underdog. Whereas he looks like he should be a lot more of a favorite there. And obviously he won me money there. I don't know how I'm going to play this fight. I might play Tiuliulin KO, honestly. I feel like, I'm not going to say it's an auto bet, but for somebody who hits hard like Tiuliulin, because he does hit hard, somebody who throws balls to the wall, and what I mean by that is he's going to throw down in the pocket. We know he's coming to fight. Tiuliulin's not going to shy away from a fight. You know, someone like Jamie Pickett is someone that shies away from fighting at times. He's just an awkward guy. We saw that on the weekend. Whereas Tiuliulin, yeah, he gets dominated on. Sorry if you bet on Pickett. I didn't even know that, but yeah, I didn't mean to say that. It is what it is, bro. It was a close fight. It was a winnable fight, man. We won't go into it. I don't want to put the demons in your head again.
James. I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I haven't trained in 8 years, and I could have put hooks in and won that fight. Like. Josh Fremd is a bad fighter who tries to lose. He puts it on a silver platter. He makes grappling mistakes every single fight. He jumped guillotine and ended up on his back. He gave up his back on 3 separate occasions with his leg hanging wide open so you could sink the hook in. How did Jamie not win that fight? I'm baffled. I'm absolutely baffled. I'm sorry. Continue because I read that fight perfectly. Jamie just did nothing.
Yeah, he read the fight perfectly, other than the fact that Jamie didn't want to win, apparently.
I didn't account for Jamie not trying hooks.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to bring those demons back, man, but what I was trying to say was someone like that kind of shies away from the fight, whereas Tiuliulin won. I know he's not good on the ground. I know he gets taken down, but he's not going to shy away from the fight. He's going to throw a lot of strikes. He's going to throw a lot of punches. And he hits fairly hard, you know, and he throws some tight hooks and some tight elbows. So I definitely think he has a chance of catching Rodrigues here. And look, at the end of the day, Rodrigues is minus 350, minus 400. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not telling you that Tiuliulin is a lock, but I am saying that I don't mind fading Gregory Rodrigues' chin with a KO prop or an inside the distance prop, especially if they give me plus 500 or better, which they will do. So I haven't made my decision yet, but that's the way I'm leaning in terms of betting anyway. This is a betting show. This isn't a outright analysis. This isn't an analysis show. This is a betting show. That's what way I'm leaning for the bet. It would either be Gregory sub or and he'll probably get the ground and pound TKO just to annoy every other submission better, like he has done for the last 5 years. In 3 years, never ever gets the sub, or Tiuliulin KO. I'm gonna decide in the next few days.
Okay. I like it, man. And that's very, very true. Big shout out to my guy, the Golden Octagon, for the $4.99 dono. Thank you so much, my friend. And he also says, add Hobocop no bet list. I like that, man. You got to protect yourself. You got to set yourself those rules sometimes. Every once in a while, you got to break those rules. You got to break your own rules sometimes. But I don't mind Hobocop being on the no bet list. All right, everybody.
I just want to address this comment. Pick'em saying Tiuliulin doesn't have one punch KO power. You do not need one punch to KO Gregory Rodrigues. A gust of wind and he does the chicken dance. And you don't need... Jun Young Park doesn't have one punch KO power. He has the biggest pillow fist in the division, and that guy had him on skates. So you don't need one punch KO power to KO somebody with no chin.
That's a great point, James, and I completely agree with you, which is why, like I said, this is a violence or likely nothing spot here for me. My guy Dawes in the chat with a very interesting preposition. He says, not only will I take your Meerschaert money on Bet Openly if you put that one up, which I might. He said, I'll buy a Trust Your Balls shirt if he wins, and if he loses, I got to start the pod next week with 3 shots. Man, that feels like a steep price when I'm the one betting the plus 200 underdog here, Daz. But, Mama didn't raise no bitch. For the sake of the show, let's go. You're on, Daz. You are on. Gerald Meerschaert, he wins. You owe me a t-shirt. And we'll see whether or not I put that one on Bet Openly. I'm still accumulating the cash on Bet Openly over there, so I can't go ham on every single fight. But I'll let you know if I do make that one of my Bet Openly spots. But 3 shots for a t-shirt. Dawes, you got it. You got it. We are on. Speaking of which...
You're loving it. Clint is loving it. It's win-win for Clint. Clint, you're acting like, oh, it's a steep price. Clint is a win-win. He either gets 3 shots, which he loves to do, or he gets a t-shirt money. So you're loving it, bro.
Stop outing me, James. You gotta sell it a little bit.
True, sorry.
All right, everybody, real quick. Let's go ahead and get to the sponsors for the show. First off, we have got none other than Pub Sports Radio. You're on Pub Sports Radio. So make sure you hit the like button and sub if you have not already. If you guys didn't know, especially since we got so many new viewers tonight, we do a free $100 winner fight pick'em every single week on Pub Sports Radio. It's free to sign up. It's free to enter. You pick your fighter, you pick the round, you pick the method, and every single week, somebody who's on top of this bad boy wins $100 cash. All you got to do is beat the Pub Sports Radio personalities and, of course, the other entrants. But it's tough to beat a $100 free giveaway. Come sign up, come hang out, come play games with us here. Spectation Sports. If you guys watch regional MMA, especially with Dana White's Contender Series rolling around, this is the tool that you need. Promo code DIEHARD when you sign up will get you a 20% discount on your annual membership. But they've got shows like Aries FC, Attitude MMA. They've got some awesome shows coming up, and you can find a lot of the fighters that we see roll through on Dana White's Contender Series right here on Spectation Sports. So make sure you check them out. These links will all be in the description below. You live guys, they're not there yet. Come back. I'll populate them here after the show is over. The Sharp app, if you guys like baseball, basketball, NFL season's right around the corner. They've got models. They have got statistics. They've got free articles. They've got a pop in Discord. If you guys want access to Sharp Gamblers for other sports content that I can't provide for you, the Sharp app can definitely help you out there. I've got a link for the Discord if you want to sign up with them as well. And then finally, Bet Openly. You know, this show is brought to you by Pub Sports Radio and Bet Openly. For those of you who have never heard of Bet Openly, this is the future of gambling for us, okay? The bookies charge minus 110, and that's how they make money because we are laying that juice. Bet Openly allows us to take the action of other gamblers for 1% juice, meaning we get better lines on everything. Long term, you are going to save money betting on Bet Openly, and they're not going to limit you. They're not going to cut you off for being a winning bettor. It's like playing at the poker table. They take their little rake, and they don't care. You can play with the other gamblers on here without a problem. So here, just a little tutorial. Let's see. You guys can pick. We'll create a bet. Baseball. What am I betting tonight? I'll put something on here on baseball. Everybody get in the chat right now and tell me. Am I rocking Diamondbacks 1.5? Oops. I got to go back now. Am I doing Diamondbacks, minus 1.5 runs? Orioles, Baltimore's, Giants, Rays. What do you guys want? I'll show you. Everybody get in the chat right now. Tell me what I'm betting real quick. I'll show you how it works. All right, Christopher Patrick says DB. I'm assuming that's Diamondbacks. We'll do that. We'll go Diamondbacks -1.5. You click here to agree to the 1% fees. If you're the winner, the loser pays absolutely nothing. And we'll put $50 for the Diamondbacks to win -1.5. You say submit bet. Boom. That is it. And then you can go to my bets and see your action right here, your wins, your losses, etc. over here. You can peruse the open bets. These are bets that other people have created, and you can choose to accept those bets. So you can either create your own or you can accept bets that other people posted up. This is absolutely a tool for gamblers. You guys need to get on this thing, and that is the end of the spiel. You know what time it is? Giveaway time, baby. Here are your options. We've got the Let's Roll t-shirt. We've got the Always Trust Your Balls, which is my personal favorite. And of course, the Die Hard logo. So 5 lucky viewers right now are going to go ahead and win some merch. Everybody get in the chat here and start slamming t-shirt. Type it up. I'm going to scroll up and down and pick a couple of names, and we'll write them down. I got to let it populate here a little bit. This is the one time on the show that spam is acceptable because you got to get in the contest. And if you only type it once, I might miss you. So just keep on hitting it. All right. And that one, Dr. Elijah True is our first winner. We're going to rattle off 5, so don't worry. We got a few more coming. Dr. Elijah True, congratulations. Find me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. I'll go ahead and get you guys hooked up. And that one right there, we got Justin Fournier, which is a brand new name, I think. I don't think I've seen that one before. Justin, I apologize if you've been here before, but if not, welcome to the show. All right, 3 more. Let's go. Boom. Chase Collum. What's up, Chase? Thank you very much for entering the game here, my friend. Chase Collum. 2 more. Let's keep going. Scrolling. Bang. Who's that? TJ Tyson. Let's go, TJ Tyson. Congratulations. Last one. Here we go. Gonna keep scrolling. Let's go. Let's get all caught up here. And boom. Hills and Creeks Eduro. Congratulations. All right. We've got our winners, everybody. Dr. Elijah True, Justin Fournier, Chase Collum, TJ Tyson, and Hills and Creeks. Thank you guys all for playing the game. Appreciate you jumping in. And here we go. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in here to Lucrative's shop if you guys want to take a look at what he has to offer there. And of course, if we hit that mark like we talked about, a giveaway will happen. So peruse around there. I'm just going to go ahead and assume, Lucrative, that we're going to get there. We're already at 180 likes, so we just need 20 more to give away 5 more pieces of merch later on in the show. All right, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out. This is Pub Sports Radio. I'm with my guy, Lucrative MMA James. Make sure you show him some support. One of the sharpest bettors I have ever met in my life. Probably the winningest UFC bettor of pretty much all time, at least as far as I'm aware of. So make sure you guys perk up and tune in. The next fight is Chris Weidman taking on Brad Tavares. And it's a sad day, James. There's no such thing as a happy ending in MMA unless your name is Robbie Lawler. I've had to amend that, because unless your name is Robbie Lawler, there's no such thing as ending your MMA career on a high note. So, man, I thought this guy was shot years ago. I was done with Chris Weidman years ago. He is 2-6, I believe, in his last 8. So the fall from grace for the All-American has been something spectacular. Now he's trying to come back from the nastiest injury you can have in MMA. Getting your leg shattered the way that he did, the way Anderson Silva did. That's something that is so hard to come back from. And honestly, man, I can't imagine kicking a heavy bag or checking a leg kick after having that kind of an injury. You simply can't do it or take it lightly. The only wins this guy has had are a out of sized bad competition level Kelvin Gastelum, and then Amari Akhmedov right before he got shipped over to the PFL. Amari Akhmedov is one of my favorite fades of all time, James. He's one of the biggest gas bags in the game. The guy can't keep it together for 15 straight minutes. It is rare that I do something like trust a Chris Weidman in a situation like that. And I hammered him in that spot. And I had my butthole puckering the entire night, James, because he did everything he could to lose to Omari Akhmedov. And granted, this is back in 2020, James. Back in 2020, this man was going life and death with Omari Akhmedov, who's a blown up 185er. Like, I can't do it. All right. Chris Weidman is completely shot to bits, and he's coming back off this terrible injury, taking on Brad Tavares, one of the most durable guys in the game. He's fighting out of Extreme Couture. Even though he's 35 years old, he's getting to that tail end of his career. He seems like he's still with it, man. He just went 15 minutes with Dricus du Plessis, and he held the guy 0 of 7 on takedowns. His takedown defense is phenomenal. His cardio is fantastic. His durability is still there. And I know a lot of people are going to look back at the Bruno Silva fight and be like, oh, he just got knocked out. Like, go back and watch that again, though. He was still with it, James. Like, he took a big shot. It knocked him down, but his eyes were clear. He was looking at his opponent. He was getting his defense ready to go while he was on his back. Like, there's certain guys you can let those kind of spots go. And I think the referee should have given Brad just a quick second, because he's proven over the life of his career, he's tough to put away. I would have given him a minute. I really think this fight comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's if Chris Weidman gets the takedowns, maybe he can win this fight. He doesn't stand a chance on the feet striking with this kid. He doesn't have better cardio than this kid. And I think Brad Tavares, the way he fights, the way he cranks up that pressure cooker, the deeper this fight goes, I think he's going to knock him out. I think as Chris Weidman fails on these takedowns and loses that self-confidence, I think he's going to start giving up bad shots. I think he's going to start making mistakes. And I think he's going to fold, James. I'm going to play Brad Tavares by knockout. I've already got him in a parlay. I'm pretty sure. You show me a good number, and I want Brad Tavares by KO.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. It's tough because I like Chris Weidman. I don't know why he's coming back. I mean, I do know why he's coming back. He's an athlete, former champion. He's a winner in life. You know what I mean? Chris Weidman is an absolute winner. He dethroned Anderson Silva, something that was almost impossible to do at the time. And he not only did it once, he did it twice. I know it was a leg kick break the second time, but whatever. He won 2 fights against him. And I'm not going to say he got karma because he didn't do anything wrong, but it was very ironic to see his leg break all those years later. How weird,
right?
Yeah, it was very ironic to see that, you know, and iconic, the first one, and then his one was just ironic, you know. So it was definitely a sad situation, but he's coming back because he's still got that fire. He knows no other thing than MMA. He knows nothing else than, you know, commitment to the sport that he loves. So he's coming back. But like you said, man, that doesn't really matter in athletic endeavors. It doesn't matter how much fire you have. It doesn't matter how much you want it once you reach a certain age. And I think Chris has been on the downhill for a long, long time now. You know, I actually bet Chris against Uriah Hall. And I maintain that, like a lot of people are looking at that now, you know, oh, Chris was done anyway. Listen, I think Chris was going to win that fight. I still think Chris was going to win that fight. I think Uriah Hall has been on a downslope since back then as well. Anyway,
Facts.
Right? So it's not like he's going against the young guy. But, you know, I know a few people will say, oh, you know, Chris was done back then. Whatever. I also think he was done back then, but I think Uriah Hall was. So there's a time and a place. It's not like I would never bet Chris Weidman again. If he was fighting someone that was completely done as well, maybe I would do it. But Brad Tavares is still there, in my opinion. He's not a young guy. Brad Tavares is like 36 years of age. It's not like they're giving in some spring chicken here. But, man, I think Weidman's going to get cracked. I honestly do. This is a tough matchup for Weidman because Brad Tavares has elite takedown defense. He's got one of the best takedown defense in the entire middleweight division. So it's not like they're giving him some easy... They're not giving him a Denis Tiuliulin. By the way,
it's a bad matchup, man.
Yeah, but by the way, Tiuliulin will probably knock him out anyway. But like, they're not giving him a Tiuliulin with no takedown defense. They're giving Brad Tavares. This guy has elite takedown defense, like one of the best I've ever seen in the UFC. One of the best I've ever seen. Right? I'm not saying Weidman can't get on top because Weidman is probably one of the best wrestlers, MMA wrestlers in the UFC. Right? So it is possible, but. Yeah, for me, Brad Tavares is probably going to stuff a couple of takedowns and knock Chris Weidman out here. I don't think it's going to be the Robbie Lawler story. I guess maybe I hope it is, unless I end up betting Brad inside the distance or something, which is definitely possible. But yeah, I'm picking Brad TKO.
All right. Glad you and I agree on that one, man. And Hate to say it, it's a sad day, but I'm going to bury him, man. I'm going to absolutely bury Chris Weidman. He is dead on arrival. Time of death is 5:40, 8/14, 2023. I'm so sorry, guys. I hate to say it. I hate to do it. The man's got nothing left in the tank. And we've got to take advantage of these opportunities. You know, Jimmy the Bag, the guy who taught me how to gamble, who hosts a show, daily live streams right here on Pub Sports Radio. He was talking about hockey, man. When he said this, James, he was talking about hockey. But you find these lame duck teams that'll give up game after game after game because they're old, they're veterans, they don't have any fire left in them, they're not looking for a title. You step on their throats. If they give you a half decent price tag against those kind of teams, you step on their throats. And that's what I want to do here with Chris Weidman. I'm so sorry. I'm a fan of his. I hope I'm wrong. One last hurrah. You know, one for the Gipper here. Maybe he can pull a Cub Swanson and break everybody's hearts or bring everybody to tears on Saturday. But I'm sorry. I just don't think he can put together a 15-minute game plan based on what we saw before he went out. I can't expect him to be any better than that after this long of a layoff. So got to go against him here. All right, everybody. Next up, we have got Marlon Chito Vera taking on Pedro Munhoz. And I think I might be a little off here. Now, obviously, I make these tiles here with the info the night before the show. Oh, nope. DraftKings is still hanging a -185. All right, we're still here. We're still in the ballpark here. I laid the wood, James. I laid the woods here on Chito Vera. I think this is the perfect matchup for him. And it's interesting because I'm seeing so much more love for Pedro Munhoz this week than I ever expected. This is the battle of the leg kicks. Like, both these guys are just leg kick savants. They hit hard as shit, and that's what they do, is they chop their opponents down. And Chito, a lot of people hold it against this guy that he's a slow starter. You know, he takes time to get into the fight. He finds his opponent's rhythm. He finds his opponent's timing, and then he starts to open up. And you remember those old photos that would kind of go around with Tony Ferguson after he had sliced and diced his opponents up? There were like 5 or 6 guys with their faces mangled and blood flying everywhere because they went through the wood chipper that was Tony Ferguson. Marlon Vera took that. That's him now, man. Like, you do not come out unscathed in a fight against Marlon Chito Vera. The knees, the elbows, the kicks. He is just brutal, and he's made out of iron. He doesn't wear damage. Some people's faces swell up, and they've got scar tissue, and they bleed. Chito looks like he's just getting started at the end of round 5, man. Like, you can't make this guy bleed. Pedro, as much as I love Munhoz, and I've gone to war with Pedro several times, 36 years old. He's 2-3 in his last 5. The split decision against Frankie, questionable. He was competitive with Dom. He won round 1 against Sean O'Malley, and I'll maintain before the eye poke happened that he, in fact, did win that first round, even though people hate to hear it. He kind of got back on the horse here against Gutierrez. That was the worst performance of Gutierrez's life. That was another leg kicker versus leg kicker spot, and Gutierrez just had nothing to offer the entire night. You go back and you run that tape, and his coaches are like, Chris, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you fighting? Where are your spins? Like, and he's just like, I don't got it. Like, Chris straight up says it to his coaches. He's like, not tonight. I don't got it. And he was completely out of it. But Pedro Munhoz, the big one for me, James, was the Dominic Cruz fight. He comes out hard in that Dominic Cruz fight, and I bet on him that night because I was sure that Dom was shot. He comes out, he cracks Dom and drops him. And I'm thinking, we're cashing this ticket. We're cashing this Munhoz ticket. And he proceeds to take his foot off the gas. He hits him with one big shot and barely touches him the rest of the fight. Dominic Cruz pieces this guy up for 12 minutes after that point. And not only that, but he rocks him back several times in that first round. Dom isn't even a power puncher, James. Dom's not even a guy that hits hard. He's a decisionator. And he had this man wobbly in that first round. I know Pedro has been historically extremely durable. He's never been finished. I don't know if Marlon Vera is the guy to actually get him out of there. I don't know if he's actually the guy to finish him, but I think he's not going to be scared of anything Pedro brings to the table. I think he's going to be the harder hitter. He's going to have the range advantage. And if they're trading 1 for 1, you're going to feel it more every time Marlon Vera lands. And Pedro just is another one of these guys that never extends himself. He can't win fights running away unless he jumps guillotine and submits you in the first round because he doesn't keep his foot on the gas. I know Vera is going to crank up the intensity in rounds 2 and 3, and he will pour it on the deeper this fight gets. We just saw that work when Dominic Cruz fought this guy. I think this is a gorgeous spot for Vera to get right and then call out a name after the main event here at UFC 292, man. They're setting up storylines. I think Marlon Vera wins this fight. He wins it handily. Again, I don't know if he gets that finish. It might be a decision, but I am more than comfortable laying the minus 185, and I did that, man. I laid it to win 2 units. I love this spot. I'm in big on Chito Vera this weekend.
That's a good breakdown, bro. Honestly, and another good breakdown from you. I can't disagree with anything you said, Clinton. I feel like this is one of those spots where maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a bit longer. I've been MMA betting for a long time, but maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I would look at this and think instantly there was value on Pedro Munhoz because, you know, Chito starts slow. It's always going to be a chance he loses the first round. And then you're talking about he has to get an inside the distance win or win the second and third round to win. And historically, he fights close up until big moments. Pedro Munhoz has really good leg kicks. And Pedro Munhoz, historically, he never gets finished. So you would think that there was some value on Pedro Munhoz. But I think if you look closer into it, and if you can see some of the intangibles, I really like Marlon Vera in this spot. I think that he's the one who is going to be less affected by strikes. I think that's pretty clear. You know, I think if anyone's getting wobbled here, it's going to be Pedro Munhoz. I think Pedro Munhoz's durability has somewhat started to wane a little bit, whereas I can't say the same for Chito Vera. Also, he doesn't show damage. Chito Vera does not bleed. He doesn't cut. He doesn't bleed. He doesn't show damage, really, whereas Munhoz does more. And I just feel like the pace and the pressure of Chito and the cardio is just going to pull away as it gets down the stretch. Chito Vera always dominates the later rounds unless he's going up against someone who's just a lot better than him, someone like Corey Sandhagen, you know. Pedro Munhoz doesn't have the wrestling that he needs to get Chito to his back here. And you need to get Chito to his back to win the fight. You almost have to do that. Chito doesn't really get soundly outstruck by anybody. Even Aldo, the great Jose Aldo, had to take the fight to the ground in the third round to beat Chito Vera. And he's only got better since then. So I mean, Munhoz in a striking fight against Chito Vera is tough, man. I think Vera has way better setups to his strikes. I think his strikes are way more dangerous. Pedro has these overhands. Chito Vera, I know he's not a great boxer, but his kicks are very vicious. You know, I've seen him drop people with spinning head kicks, front kicks up the middle. I honestly think this is a good spot for Chito, and I honestly think he could get a finish here. I'm not saying I'm outright predicting it, but I think everyone's going to be thinking this fight goes to decision. I saw the under on BetOnline was plus 275, and I was like, I understand these guys do not get finished, right? But they're getting older. Pedro Munhoz is getting older. I don't think it can happen forever. I've seen Pedro rocked a little bit recently. I don't know, man. The under
getting rocked by Dom is such a red flag, man.
It is. It just seems a little bit. It just seems a little bit of an overreaction to their historical fights. It's like you would make it plus 275 if you didn't watch the tape. But if you watch the tape and look at the intangibles and know how these guys fight, not only how they defend, but how they fight, I don't know, man. I feel like the under. I'm not saying it's going to cash, but I think it's got more chance than the bookies suggest. But yeah, I'm going to pick Marlon Vera here. I'm actually pretty confident in him, which is weird because it should play out close. I just really think Chito is going to have big moments in this fight.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you're with me one more time on that one. I'm more than comfortable laying the chalk, and y'all got it done. We got 200 likes on the live show. You're getting 5 more shirts. We'll do it at the end of the podcast for those of you who hang around. And James has already said, if we get to 220, he'll do a giveaway himself as well. So if you guys want that extra giveaway for James, keep on hitting the like button. And I just got to laugh, man. I got my guy Ronald here saying Clint Casual pick Pickett. Woo, baby. But you know what else I did? I cashed 6 units on that event. I did pick Pickett. I did put my hard-earned money on Jamie Pickett because Josh Fremd sucks, and I'm still up 6 units on the night, even with losing that pick. In fact, I'm up 90 units on the year, Ronald. So you go right ahead and you laugh at that Pickett pick, baby. You go right ahead. Ain't even bothered.
That was probably a good bet. That was Josh Fremd didn't look minus 350. So that wasn't even a bad bet. I mean, people are just insane.
Did you hear the way DC was talking about him? They were like, oh, he maybe isn't capable of what we thought he was. Like DC is saying that on the fucking broadcast, folks. Like it was the opportunity was there. So I'm more than at peace with that pick. That's all good here. All right, folks, can you believe it? We smashed the viewing total for this show. We have 388 live viewers. Not only did we break the record, but we are getting damn near close to 400 live viewers. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We got the good stuff coming up next. The next couple fights are the ones you are here for. The next fight we want to talk about is Neil Magny taking on Ian Garry. Ian Garry's a minus 440 favorite. The comeback on Neil Magny is plus 330. And this is another one, James, that just makes me a little bit sad because Neil Magny is one of my top 5 most profitable fighters of all time. Like, he is always undervalued. You could get him at pick'em price tags or dog odds almost every time he fights. Like, people just don't appreciate what Neil Magny can do. He forces people to fight his game. He drags them into the deep waters of the fight, and then he just paces them. It never looks pretty in round 1. He isn't the guy that hits the hardest. He's there to get tagged himself sometimes. He gets wobbled or rocked now and again. He gets taken down. But then after that, if you don't get him out of there in that first round, he's going to wear on you. He's going to put it on you for 2 straight rounds. And if you can't hang, he gets you out of there. You know, someone like Daniel Rodrigues learned that the hard way with that 3rd round Darce choke. Like, this guy is well-rounded. He's tough. He's solid. But we've seen that grappling is a massive problem for him. If he is facing someone who's a better grappler than he is, he loses the fight. And it's not even close. And there have been a couple times where he's been just, straight up starched. Uh-oh. Dogs are barking. Don't like that. So, I mean, there's been, look at this.
That means? You know what that means, right?
Yeah. Dogs are barking. So I'm talking about Neil Magny and the dog goes off. Oof. All right. Let me finish the breakdown, though, because I don't like hearing that. Ian Garry's the other leg of my parlay, James. I parlayed up Ian Garry. I know. I'm going against the dog, man. What the hell? So I did go with Ian Garry here against Neil Magny. I just think this kid is legit. His speed, his punching accuracy, the fact that he's got power in every single limb of his body. And here's the ticket. He's only got 1 submission on his record. And a lot of people listening to this podcast are about to roll their eyes, man, because I've talked about it every single Ian Garry fight, James. His grappling is so underrated. His second last name is Machado. If you guys don't know, the Machados are the only other true jiu-jitsu family besides the Gracies. Like, back when jiu-jitsu first happened, it was the Machado and Gracie families doing it. The Gracies made it to the UFC. They're the ones you've heard of. The Machado brothers are out there. And my coach, the one that gave me my blue belt, is a black belt under Rigan Machado. And it's no joke. They are incredibly talented, and that's why he rocks that last name. There's a lot of power behind that last name, Machado. It carries a lot of weight in martial arts, and he's so much better on the ground than anybody realizes because all we've seen is his gorgeous striking in the UFC. The time has come, folks. We are going to bet Ian Garry by submission, and that's how he's going to beat Neil Magny. Because this man is going to flex his well-rounded game. We've seen him do absolutely everything. He can strike. He's got nasty killer instinct. He's got good kicks. He can punch. He can do all of it. But the one thing we haven't seen in the UFC, we haven't seen this man grapple. And Neil Magny will force a grappling fight because when Ian touches him, he's not going to want to strike anymore. So he's going to force the clinch. There's going to be takedowns. There's going to be reversals. And if there was ever an opponent that would give up a bad position and then a submission, it's our guy, Neil Magny. Gilbert Burns, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Joaquim Silva in that grappling tournament he did not too long ago. This guy gives up those chokes. The bookies are going to be sleeping. I need to see prop numbers. I need to know. And honestly, for this one, I wish there wasn't 385 of you watching live because I don't want you all to beat me to my own number. I think we're going to get a juicy fat number, James, on Ian Garry by sub, and he'll get his first UFC victory by submission.
650, I think.
Oh, I was hoping it'd be higher than that. I'll play that. Don't get me wrong. I will play that, but I was hoping it'd be higher.
So that's what I was told by one of my mates. I'm just checking right now, Bet Online. He is correct. It is the sharpest in the market. Am I?
You're cutting out just a little bit. We had you a second ago.
I don't know if I'm here or if Clint's cut off or am I back now?
You're good. You're back. We can hear you.
Yeah. So it's 650 on Bet Online, but we already know Bet Online is the sharpest in the market. So you already know there's going to be some 800-900s out there when the prop odds are released market wide. And that might even be the average market odd. We don't know yet. Bet Online is usually the lowest, right? Sometimes. So unless they're openers. I do think there's a chance for him to finish a... I don't even think submission is Tim Foyle, man. I honestly don't. And the reason is because Neil Magny loves to get submitted. He doesn't have great jiu-jitsu. He gets put in a lot of chokes. And I do think that there's a chance he's shooting here. He's going to be clinching. And Ian Garry has those long arms. I honestly think he can cinch up a guillotine, go high elbow with it when they're up against the cage. Magny's going to try and clinch and push him up against the cage. Yeah, he's going to dig under hooks and turn, but I think there's a chance he just cinches up a standing submission. So I honestly don't mind a 650 play. I might do it myself. I think Ian Garry's going to win this fight. I'm actually surprised he's minus 400, but the hype's out on him, so maybe I'm not surprised. I've been betting on Ian Garry ever since he came into the UFC. Everybody's been trying to fade him. I've been trying to bet on him. And that's allowed for me to make a good amount of money. You know, he's usually always a big favorite, but not every fight. Like I remember him getting him at like minus 240 against people like Darian Weeks. I think he was around there, or somebody else. Gabriel Green, I played him via decision at like plus 200 or something like that. Whereas I feel like nowadays he's 400, 500 in those fights, you know. So I do think some of the pushback allowed me to get some good money on him. Those days are probably over. You know, minus 420 against Neil Magny doesn't really look appealing, but I do think he should be fine here. I mean, is Neil going to be able to get takedowns? If he's not going to be able to get takedowns, striking fight against Ian Garry on 2 weeks' notice or however short notice it is, it doesn't look good. Ian Garry is getting better and better every single fight. He's only young. He's getting better. And I think that him going out, leaving Ireland, going to train at... Where's he training? I always mix up the names of the...
You know what? He went everywhere. He's being a Ronin right now, man. Like, he went to Factory X for a bit. He went to Extreme Couture for a bit. Like, he's just running around on a rampage right now, touching as many bodies as he can get in contact with. And at 25 years old, I love it. I love it. He's expanding his network and he's training with high-level players everywhere he goes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really beneficial thing for him, you know, because he's training with the best guys in the world and it's showing. He's growing and growing and growing. I've seen videos of him training with Chris Curtis. I've seen photos of him, Gilbert Burns. You know, he's all over the place training with the best middleweights in the entire world. And he's a welterweight, you know, best welterweights in the world as well. I think he's just going to get better and better, man. Ian Garry is a really good fighter. I think he can find a finish here. I think he can go to decision or find a finish. So it's very hard for me to play a prop on him. I know a few people saying Ian Garry inside the distance, Ian Garry points. For me, Ian Garry inside the distance or decision is very predicated on how his opponent fights. I think Ian Garry is such a good fighter that he adapts to his opponent in fight. You know, oftentimes people can't do that, man. People are like, fighters are not good enough to make in-fight adaptations. And I think Gary's one of those ones where if you want to go to war, you're probably going to get knocked out. You know, if you're open and brawling, you might get knocked out. But if you're staying on the outside, he doesn't mind just outpointing you to a decision win. So it really depends on how Magny's going to come into this one. I think it's kind of volatile, whether he's going to win inside the distance or points. I am going to pick Ian Garry for the win, though.
Okay. All right. We're on the same side here, man. Ian Garry for the win. Personally speaking, with Neil Magny coming in on short notice, I know I already spoke about his vaunted cardio. Still, short notice is short notice. It's a tough thing to do. And the way Ian Garry hits, I like inside the distance myself, and I'm going to be doing that sub spot there. My guy Dixon Sider is saying that apparently he's been working on his BJJ and got a belt promotion. That's interesting. He got a belt promotion. And another thing I'll have you know, James, he initially wanted the Magny fight in this spot. He asked for it. This is the opponent that he chose to go after. So this is not just, hey, we got Neil Magny, he's filling in here. No. Ian Garry targeted this man, and when his opponent fell out, they were trying to give him Neil. they made the fight happen after that point. So the fact that he was looking at this guy going, I got something for that, man, that just tells me that Garry's smart enough to understand the game plan. He already knows what's coming. So yeah, I'm going to go on that sub prop, folks. And here's the thing. I'm trying not to be reckless, James. I'm up 90 units for the year, okay? I'm trying not to get stupid, but I'm going to take some shots. I'm going to take some shots this week because I have the ability to do so, and I feel like I'm seeing the board so clearly right now. I've got the bankroll to do it. I'm going for it. And don't be surprised if my normal half unit shot on the sub prop turns into a full unit shot or something like that, because I'm probably going for it big time this week, folks. I'm going to hit that 100 unit mark. I'm telling you.
You've got lots of bullets. What I say is the bankroll is the gun and the units are the bullets. And you've got 90 extra bullets right now because you don't adjust your unit size after every single event, right? Meaning that you have an excess of units now. Your bankroll is not 100 units right now. Your bankroll is probably 190 units or 140, depending on when you last increased your unit size. So you have many excess units to shoot now. You got a lot of bullets. So you can afford to be a little bit more, I don't want to even use the word reckless, but you can afford to be a little bit more generous with the shots you take. And you've afforded yourself that privilege because of how well you've done this year. And that's something that we have to understand as gamblers. We can adjust our strategy from event to event, not only what the event brings us, but also how we've done previously. You have to always be adjusting unit size, bankroll size, and even bet sizing. So you can afford to make it a half a unit shot rather than a quarter of a unit shot. And you deserve that because you've won a lot this year. So well done.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And that's absolutely what we will be doing. For those of you who noticed, we have hit 220 likes on the show. So after we wrap up, James is going to do a giveaway as well. You guys have earned it. Thank you all so much for the love and support tonight. We're kicking some ass tonight. This is awesome. So let's get on with this bad boy. Co-main event, James. Co-main event. We have got none other than Weili Zhang, the queen of 115, defending that title against your girl, Amanda Lemos. And folks, I got to be honest with you. This is my podcast. This is my show. But you didn't come here for me tonight. You didn't come here to hear what I have to say about the co-main event. You came here to hear what my guy, Lucrative MMA, has to say about his girl, about his lady. He is the one who's the expert. He knows Amanda Lemos like no one else. I'm going to let you lead this one off, my guy. Break this fight down for me. Tell me what's going on.
This is a good day, man. This is a good day for us. This is a good week. It's been a long time coming, Clint. I said it from the moment she stepped up in weight. Basically, from the moment she came in the UFC, she took like a 2-year break and she moved down 2 weight classes. I didn't know her when she first came in. As soon as she moved down those weight classes back in 2019 or whenever it was, I said this girl would be champion one day, you know, and we got some good lines on her over the years because of that. We got some great inside the distance lines, and it's finally happening. It feels good when you predict someone to become champion. She hasn't done it yet, but her just getting there at least is, you know, it feels good, especially when she was a nobody when I said it. So, yeah, man, I mean, this is a great fight. Weili Zhang is a very hard test, but I don't agree with the line. I don't agree with the line, and it's nothing to do with my care or my want to see her become champion. You know, there's a lot of fighters that I respect. There's a few that I support more than others. A lot of the English fighters, I support them. Pardon me, because I'm English. You know, not everyone. Some English people are idiots, but for the most part, there's a lot of fighters I support who are English. And so I do have a more of an affinity towards them. Same with Amanda Lemos, but I do not let that affect me when I'm betting. I oftentimes bet against my favorite fighters. At the end of the day, I'm a gambler and I'm trying to make money. I'm not watching for entertainment purposes when I'm not betting for entertainment purposes. I'm betting to make money. And I do think that this line's wide. You know, because I'm just stating that because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's only betting on Lemos because he likes the girl. I never do that. I haven't done that for 7 years. It's been a long time, over half a decade since I have done that. So with that being said, I think the line is wide here. Amanda Lemos is not plus 250 in a striking match against anyone. So if you're betting Weili, you better hope she comes in and gets takedowns here, which she's shown that she loves to strike. She will get takedowns, but she loves to strike. What is her UFC stats, Clint? How many takedowns does she get per 15 minutes? Because I'll actually be interested to see that. I'm going to bring it up now. I don't know off the top of my head.
Let me get that number for you here, James.
So she averages 1.97 takedowns per 15 minutes. So she will get takedowns, but it's not that much. 1.97 isn't that much. If this fight stays on the feet, let me tell you something now, man. Weili could go to sleep. She could go to sleep. Amanda Lemos is by far the hardest power puncher in all of women's MMA. All of women's MMA. I believe she hits harder than Amanda Nunes. Not for her weight class, pound for pound for her weight class. I think she has more power at 115 than Amanda at 135 in that division, if you understand what I'm saying. Obviously, Amanda's 30 pounds heavier than her. She hits way harder. But I do think pound for pound, she's the hardest hitter in any division. And Weili's going to have to come through some heavy, heavy punishment if she wins the fight on the feet. If she gets takedowns here, that's going to be her easiest path to victory. But Amanda Lemos has got very, very strong hips. She's got good takedown defense. On the ground, it remains to be seen a little bit. She hasn't been taken down too much. Obviously, her jiu-jitsu looked terrible when she got submitted from Jessica Andrade with a standing arm triangle, which you don't see those often. I think it was the first one in UFC history. So that's not a good look. But I don't think Weili's this amazing jiu-jitsu player anyway. You know, it's not like she's going up against Mackenzie Dern or Tatiana Suarez, who's a really good wrestler. I understand why Weili is the favorite here. Of course, man. She's the better overall fighter when you categorize every single MMA skill set. When you take into account cardio, I think Lemos gets a little bit tired. But Lemos is so dangerous that you cannot ever rule her out getting a finish. And so I think there's some value on Amanda Lemos in this spot. She can finish anyone at the end of the day. I'm not going to pick her to win. I want her to win. I hope she's going to win. And I think she's definitely live to get an inside the distance knockout. But yeah, that's my breakdown, man. I don't have much more to say. This is a betting podcast. And I think there's some value in Lemos here. But I think this fight doesn't go to decision for sure. So right. I don't actually know what the DGTD odds are, but that could be a solid bet. I think both main events, parlay doesn't go the distance in both main events, you're probably cashing. Because if Amanda Lemos doesn't get her out of there, then I think she will probably gas late, just with the way Weili fights. Because it could go 5 if Weili doesn't want to commit, like Maryna Rodrigues didn't really want to commit. It is possible that if she doesn't want to commit, it is like a staring contest to which 250 is always going to look value. So I think it benefits her. But if Weili does start to get takedowns, if she doesn't get knocked out, if she comes through some of that early power, I think she's probably going to break down Amanda, which is tough to say, but I think that's how it's going to go. But yeah, man, I like Amanda for a bet here for sure.
This man is rooting for his girl, but still unbiased as it gets, fully admitting the weaknesses. You love to see it. And guys, I really can't add anything more to that. I just can't. Like, that's exactly how I see the fight as well. I think that Weili Zhang is a special talent. She's a special athlete, and she's the queen of this division for a reason. However, she is not rocking with Fight Ready. You guys know that's my favorite gym of all time. And what they've done to her with the grappling is a big deal to me. The way they worked her wrestling and rounded that game out, I felt like was incredible and the best version we've seen of Zhang. Now that she's no longer with Fight Ready for God knows what reason, I wonder whether or not she'll have as big of an emphasis on her grappling in this fight. And if you stand and bang with Lemos, maybe she can win that fight, man. Maybe she can't. I mean, you go back to the JJ fights. Those were battles, absolute wars between those two women. And she was unscathed, and she finished her in the second one. So there's definitely a good chance that she's just straight up good enough to win this thing on the feet. But she is so aggressive that she'll be there to be countered. And that's where Amanda Lemos, I feel like, really shines with those big, powerful counter shots. We've seen her knocked out. Rose caught her with one big head kick, and that was it. That was all she wrote, man. So I think there's value on the number with Amanda Lemos, and I really wanted to just ride or die with you, man, because you're my guy, and you're my guest on the show, and I wanted to sit here and go, I think it's Amanda Lemos' season. But I also got to trust my own read, and I can't. I just can't. I do really think that, like you said, she slows down and she gets tired. And someone like Angela Hill was dragging her into the deep in the third round. And as much as I love Angie, she goes to split decision with everybody. She's not a champion in this weight class. That's concerning. I think that if Weili Zhang grapples at all in this spot, or if Amanda jumps for that guillotine that she's got on her and doesn't catch it, because she could catch it, she could just win outright with that guillotine. Her squeeze is unreal. But if she doesn't catch that guillotine, I think the last thing in the world she wants is someone like Weili Zhang on top of her. You don't get standing arm triangled in mixed martial arts these days, man. That's a bad look, especially with how bad Jessica Andrade has looked since that fight took place. I think Zhang in the late rounds is the way I would look at it. That, 3, 4, 5 sprinkle fight doesn't go the distance. Definitely feels like it's something that's going to happen the way these two match up, the firepower that's on the table for this fight. And I actually think that Zhang by sub at plus 550 is something worth taking a look at, because once Lemos gets tired, if she's a little easier to take down, she just makes mistakes grappling, man. And if she puts herself on bottom of someone like Weili, the way she took the back, the way she went to a crucifix bottom position against Carla Esparza, the best wrestler in the division, and tapped her out with a choke from that position. Unheard of. She's so slick. I am so sorry, but I can't bet against Weili Zhang here. I don't have any money on it right now. No action right now. But my lean is inside the distance for Weili Zhang. Fight doesn't go the distance, and maybe Zhang by sub.
Reverse those, and you'd be right.
You'll love to see it. All right. Everybody, it is main event time. We have 394 live freaking viewers for UFC 292. Thank you all for absolutely destroying the record on this show. And it just popped to 403. Yes. We broke it. 400. Like, you guys are getting 5 more shirts. We're giving away 15. We're giving away 10 more shirts at the end of this show, folks. Y'all have earned it. You deserve it. Thank you for the love and the support. Let's talk about Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley. Lucrative. I have been waiting for this fight because most of you know I've been maybe the biggest Sean O'Malley hater there could possibly be. All right. I've made TikToks mocking him and his fan base because the clicks and the views and the numbers, they're just too good. It's too easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. But the reality is, the UFC babied this guy, James. The UFC gave him soft matchmaking. They gave him the perfect opponents for him to look good and to rise up the ranks. And even when he poked our poor guy Pedro Munhoz so badly in the eye that he should have been disqualified and gotten a loss, they called it a no contest instead. And they treated him as the winner, even though he was down around to the man who he fouled. That was a spot where the UFC let it slide. He got a no contest and acted like a win instead. They gave him every opportunity. And then they gave him Petr Yan, a guy who doesn't play the game of MMA, a guy who comes forward and steamrolls his opponents, a guy who will play right into the hand of Sean O'Malley. And it's a close fight. Who'd they give the split decision to? They gave it to Sean O'Malley. James, they have then given him a full year to prep. They matched up Aljo with Cejudo, a couple grapplers who they know O'Malley's on a crash course against. They match them up and have them fight first and let this kid sit on the sidelines for an entire year to prepare for his opportunity. The UFC wants Sean O'Malley to win this fight. They're not even hiding it. And they've babied him every single step of the way. And y'all thought I was going to sit here and tell you it's time to smash Aljamain Sterling. It's time to bet against this man because he's finally gotten a little too close to the sun and those wings are going to melt. And the reality is, it's Sugar Sean O'Malley season, baby. Sugar Sean O'Malley is going to be your new champion on Saturday. Not only is he going to defeat Aljamain Sterling, but he is going to knock Aljo out cold. Folks, Aljamain Sterling is the greatest we've seen in this weight class, and I'm an Aljo supporter. I'm a guy who's bet on Aljamain Sterling. I bet Aljo by decision and Aljo by split against Petr Yan in the rematch, and I cashed both of those tickets at stupid numbers. I have tried to fade him every single fight since. And you might say, well, Clint, how's that gone for you? How's that gone for you? TJ Dillashaw hit a shoulder injury that nobody knew about from everybody. And he went in there with one arm. He was never winning that fight with one arm. But I would make the bet today. You give me any odds you want on TJ Dillashaw. If he's healthy, he destroys Aljamain Sterling. I thought Henry Cejudo won, James. Is a split decision. It was close. It was competitive. It was very tight. I thought Henry did enough to win. But him fighting up a weight class off of a 3-year ring rust and coming into that fight and going to split with the champion, that's enough for me to see that Aljo should have probably run away with that fight. He should have won that handily. And he's talking about dragging O'Malley around the cage. He's going to finish him. When was the last time this guy finished anybody? Like, he rear naked choked Corey Sandhagen. That's it. He finished Cody Stamann back in 2018. He's a grinder. He's a decision machine. And he gets tired, James. He's older. This weight cut is getting too hard for him. He's literally vacating the title after this fight, win, lose, or draw, because he can't take the cuts anymore. And at the end of every single fight, he takes his opponent's backs and he's hanging on for dear life. Sean O'Malley's had an entire year to prepare. He's actually the bigger man. He's got a larger frame here than Aljo does. And that, my friends, is not something that you can look past, because when you're a bully and you've got that bully style, it really requires you being the bigger, stronger guy. And I'm not convinced he's going to be here in this spot. Judges these days are scoring more and more and more for the damaging fighter, James. If the Petr Yan fight happened today, do you think that split goes to Aljo? I don't think there's a chance in hell that split goes to Aljo today, because we're emphasizing damage, 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 damage. And the way O'Malley hits people, if this fight every single round starts on the feet, as long as he doesn't get tapped, as long as he doesn't get submitted, he's going to have 2-3 minutes on the feet to touch Aljamain Sterling before he gets taken down. And if Aljo backpacks him and does nothing on the ground, they're going to give those rounds to Sean O'Malley. And the last piece of the puzzle is the bad visuals of Aljamain Sterling. James, how many times have we seen this guy on his knees? How many times have we seen him get clipped and shoot from a mile away and be down on all fours because he wants to avoid the head strike? Is it smart? Yes, it's smart. The rules of MMA say you can't be hitting the head while you're down on all fours or you got a knee down. I'm not knocking him for using the rules, but it doesn't look good to the judges. When you've got a guy like Sean O'Malley dribbling and taking, 3-pointers from outside, waiting for this guy to get back up to his feet, that's not a good look. They're going to score these close, tight rounds for Sean O'Malley. And just like that, my dogs are barking. I don't want to listen to him the first time. I'm listening to him here on this time. Folks, a couple of weeks ago, we had a $500 donation. My guy Sherpa210 Poker jumped in the chat, dropped a $500 bomb, the biggest donation Pub Sports Radio has ever seen. And he said, Clint, here's a 5-unit free roll on me. And my guy Sherpa, I have not forgotten about that moment. I've not forgotten at all. This is the time for me to use my free roll, James. I've got a 5-unit bomb on Sugar Sean O'Malley. And new Sean O'Malley will have gold wrapped around his waist on Saturday. Tell me I'm crazy. Talk to me, man. What are we doing here?
I can't, bro. I can't. Because I'm right there with you. Sugar Sean O'Malley season. The man Clint said it himself. 2023 Clint is a different animal. And I think you're going to be surpassing that 100-unit year purely on this pick alone. Yes, 5-unit bomb on Sean O'Malley at plus 220. Did you get?
I got plus 215. So just missed the 20, but I got plus 215.
You're talking 11 units 11 units that you're going to win. 11 units profit. That brings you over 100 units. I can see it happening, man. I think Sean O'Malley has a very good chance to win this fight. Aljamain Sterling is a great fighter. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He's got good wrestling. He's got amazing volume on the feet. And he pushes through his cardio deficiencies very well. And he's got the will to win. He doesn't give up on himself, even though he looks like he kind of is doing it. He doesn't fully ever cave in. I understand that he should be the favorite here. I understand that the grappling discrepancy is massive, but I don't think the line should be this wide. Sean O'Malley is the best striker in the division, and he is one of the best strikers in the entire UFC. A lot of people hate him, and a lot of people did not want to admit that until he turned Peter Yan into a wrestler. And I think after that fight, everyone realized that Sean O'Malley probably is one of the best strikers in the UFC. I, for many years, was betting on Sean O'Malley. I bet on him against Peter Yan. I always bet on Sean O'Malley. I never bet against him. I think he's a very, very good fighter. I saw his stardom from young, not only in, who he is as a person, but his skill set. Oftentimes people become so popular that their skill sets get overrated. It happens all the time. It's funny because hype is massive in MMA, but for every hype, there's always counter hype. Garry. There's always that selection of people who are trying to fade Garry. There's always that selection of people who are trying to fade Sean O'Malley, fade Conor McGregor when he was coming up, just because of the hype behind him. But if you actually peel back the layer and look at his skill set, his distance management is absolutely elite. His fluidity on the feet and the way he times his shots is absolutely elite. The volume he pumps out, if he wants to, is absolutely elite. He can fight off his back foot, some of the best I've ever seen. The way he fights off his back foot, pivots and throws the hook, check hook to step away. It is a thing of beauty. It's just, he's a natural striker. Some people train for 10 years and you see them in the gyms, they train for 10 years and they're still stiff. They still throw stiff shots. They're a bit robotic. Some people train for 6 months and they're fluid. They're throwing shots. And this is exactly what Sean O'Malley is like. He's so fluid, and I think he's just a natural striker. And that really translates well if you put the time and effort in. We've got somebody who's the best striker in the division going up against the best grappler in the division, right? At least MMA grappler. So if the fight stays on the feet, O'Malley is easily winning the fight. It's not close, right? Yeah, maybe the first round, Aljo can throw like 100 strikes and so it looks close, but O'Malley's going to get his time in. He's going to walk him onto shots. He's going to be taunting him. The uppercuts live. He has so many shots in his toolbox. O'Malley has about 100 different strikes in his toolbox. He is not predictable. He can throw the spinning back kick with both legs. He can switch stances. He's got a good leg kick, body kick, head kick, uppercut, straight, hook. You know what I'm saying? You can make a dance out of it. The man has every strike in the cookbook. Is he going to defend takedowns? That's really what the fight comes down to, right? We look at it stylistically. I don't think that it's insta-sub on the mat. I think that there is a world in which Sean survives the mat. And by the way, guys, I'm giving a breakdown as to why I think there's value on Sean O'Malley here. I could sit down and tell you why Aljo's going to win the fight because I am predicting him to. And by that, I mean he should be the favorite. He should be minus 150, but he shouldn't be minus 350. You know what I mean? He should be minus 150. I give him an edge. I give him an edge on the fight. But I'm making a breakdown to tell you why I think O'Malley had this fight. And at the end of the day, even if we look at the intangibles, Aljamain Sterling, he just fought 3 months ago. He ballooned up in weight. He's got to cut weight again. It's never an easy weight cut for him. Never an easy weight cut. He's a massive guy. And the UFC are making him fight very quickly when they gave Sean O'Malley a long time. So the UFC are doing everything in their power to make Sean O'Malley win this fight. They can't fight for him. I hate that narrative. The UFC wants him to win. I don't care who the UFC wants to win. I care what I can watch on tape and know for myself. The UFC have nothing to do with me. You know what? Unless they are putting someone in there injured or they drug someone before the fight. So I often
They're
hate
stacking the
that.
deck just a little though here.
Exactly. No, but yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So I hate that take, but you don't need that take. You can see what's happening. You know what I mean? So even if the UFC didn't want him to win, I can see that they're stacking the deck. So that's the reason I hate the take, is because even if they want him to win the fight, it's nothing I can't see with my own eyes. I don't have to know the UFC are collaborating. I can see it because I watch tape and I know when his last fight was. But what I was going to say was the UFC do want him to win, and you can see that by how quickly they're bringing Aljo back and how long they've gave Sean to recover. And they told Sean, you're fighting for the belt next. So he's had a long time to prep for Sean, for Aljamain Sterling here. So yeah, man, I think Aljo should be slightly favored, but not this much, just like I do in the Amanda Lemos fight. So I can definitely see a world in which we get an amazing pay-per-view with UFC 217 vibes, and we get not 3, but 2 new champions here. So I've got a bet on Sean O'Malley here, and I think we might be cashing that ticket at the end of the day. The KO is very live, and even the decision is possible here.
I love it, James. I am so happy you and I are on the same page here on this dog, and I'm predicting the KO. I think this fight goes under. I think we get a knockout, but the number is like 90 cents different. If I'm going to put this type of investment on a single fight, I don't need that wiggle room, because what if they give Sean O'Malley a split decision? What if Aljamain backpacks him for 3 rounds and we squeeze by? I don't want to lose a bunch of money on a knockout when I'm not getting plus 500, when I'm not getting plus 600. That's why, folks, a lot of people asking me, why money line? Why not KO? That right there is why, because I don't need that extra risk for minimal return on that risk. I want the whole bag. And James, I think we're getting it on Saturday, my guy. Thank you so much for breaking down this card with me, man. We got 2 hours in the bag of nonstop solid MMA breakdowns and content with the best damn chat in the game. Thank you all so much for everything, the love, the support. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the new record. 404 live viewers is officially the podcast record. So thank you all so much for that. James, you mentioned if we got over 220 likes that you had some merch to give away, and we got 250, my guy. How would you like to do this, and what are you giving to the people in the chat?
Yeah, so I'm happy to give away. I was going to do one, but you know what? 250. We've broke the record at 300. Then we broke the record again at 400. I'm feeling generous. I'm feeling in a good mood. It's been a good year. We've won a lot of money. I'll give away 2. The t-shirt, the chat's going crazy already. I'll give away 2 t-shirts from my spread shop, my shop. They can pick whatever t-shirt they want. They'll just have to let me know or let you know. And you can pick them out as you usually do, Clint, as you just scroll on your thing. Pick them out, and they can pick any t-shirt. We got the Dog Hunter t-shirt, which is the most buzzing t-shirt in the game right now. So I'm sure those are going to... That should be worth $1,000 alone, and you're going to get it for free. And then we've got tons of other t-shirts on there as well.
Everybody get in there and pound that t-shirt. Say t-shirt if you want to enter. We're doing 2 in a row here for my guy, James. And our first winner is TJ Tyson. TJ Tyson, who already won one of my shirts, is going to get a double cash tonight. And he's going to get one from James as well. My guy, luckiest man in the chat right now. We have got Hype Killer MMA is going to get himself the other t-shirt from James. So TJ Tyson, Hype Killer MMA, you guys have got to reach out to my guy James. And everybody else, if you're looking for Die Hard merch, we got 10 more shirts coming. So I got a lot of these to get through. I'm going to go fast. We've got Electric Doll. That's an A, D-A-L-L, Electric Doll. All right. And we're going again. We've got Pink Freud. That's my guy. Pink's been in the chat. He's always hanging around. Congratulations. All right. We got that one done. Let's go. We got to go warp speed on these bad boys. Next up is, why is the thing lagging on me? Riff Raff. Congratulations, Riff Raff. You get yourself a t-shirt. Let's go again. Everybody just rapid fire with me today. We got Brandon B. Brandon B winning a t-shirt. Congratulations. I think that we got, all right, so we've got 6 more to go. 6 more to go. Matt, congratulations, Matt Madge. I can't pronounce your last name, my friend. My tongue was not built to do that. I do apologize. I'm not even gonna try. But congratulations on the t-shirt. Everybody keep getting in there. We got 5 more to go. We got 5 more to go. Black Floyd 95. That's a name I know. We got Black Floyd winning a t-shirt here. Thank you very much, my friend. 4 more. 4 more to go. Let's go. Victor Green with a t-shirt. We got 3 more. 3 more t-shirts to give away here. Everybody just keep on getting in this bad boy. Let's go. Let's go. Clay Smith. Congratulations, Clay Smith. And we got 2 more. 2 more t-shirts. 2 more t-shirts to give out. Cam C. Congratulations, Cam. And last one. Last t-shirt for the people. For the people. Jason Comtois. And the only reason I know how to say your last name here, Jason, is because I'm a hockey fan. So Jason Comtois goes ahead and gets the last t-shirt of the night. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. So you guys have got to get with me. If you're not on social media, you got to find me on Twitter or Instagram. Get with me. I've got the list of the names right here. TJ Tyson and Hype Killer MMA. Get a hold of James so he can get you hooked up as well. And then I will get your size, address, and then choose which shirt you would like. We'll get it shipped out to you there in the mail. So thank you all so much. James, do you have anything you want to say? Shout out your sponsors. Let them know what shows are coming up. Anything like that before we wrap this bad boy?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me on, man. This has been good. I'm happy to break the record with you, not once, but twice. A lot of people got t-shirts today, so shout out to everybody. Hopefully, we can bring some of their luck into our bets this weekend. And just going to keep on cashing, man. If anybody wants to find me, they can go to lucrativemmabetting.com. Lots of information about me on there. And I also have a YouTube channel where I give out free picks all the time. I'm probably going to do a Dana White's Contender Series breakdown later on today. So if you're already on YouTube, go and subscribe to my channel if you want to watch that breakdown, which will be out in a few hours. The sun is out right now, and I want to go for a little walk first, maybe go to the park, maybe go to the beach or something. And then when I get back, I'll do the Dana White's Contender Series breakdown. And yeah, man, last but not least, thank you to everybody in the chat. I appreciate every single one of you. If there was no chat, there would be no show. So I'm happy to be able to give a t-shirt or two just to help, just to give back a little bit. And good luck, everybody, on their bets. Clint, hopefully we cash that Sean O'Malley pick. Hopefully you get 100 units this weekend. I might be able to hit 100 units. It would have to be a very good week, but it's possible. So we can both hit 100 units this week. Last week was meant to be it. It flopped for me. So hopefully we can hit it this weekend. And again, thank you, brother. I've had a lot of fun.
James, it's always a good time, man. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for doing the breakdown with me. They can't stop us this year, James. We're both going to bust 100. If it's not this week, it'll be next week. It is coming. It's happening. I'm so glad you said it, man. Without the chat, we'd be nothing. Thank you all so much for being here with us. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for engaging. If it wasn't for you guys, there would not be a show. I am beyond humbled and blessed to have you awesome people supporting me. So thank you guys so much. One more time, I'm going to stick the link to Bet Openly here in the chat. Do me a favor, click it, check it out. Even if you don't sign up and deposit, just do me a favor and click the link. And if you guys do want to save some juice moving forward, one of the coolest features on Bet Openly is they actually tell you how much money you have saved. I've saved $500, James, since signing up just by not paying the juice. So trust me, guys, it's a good resource. It works. And one more time, thank you from the bottom of my heart. We have got the Total Takedown on Thursday, the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show on Friday, and it's pay-per-view week. You know what that means? We get our guy from Superbook Sports. The Sharp Action Report comes to you on Friday as well. The big guy got us on Isaac Dulgarian last week, so he's already coming through for us hard. Let's hope he has some more juicy details for us on this epic UFC card. Kick some ass out there, everybody. Love you guys. Make your mamas proud. Let's roll.